The discovery at Oak Island is rapidly moving from legend to reality, as new breakthroughs continue to surface. It began with a significant anomaly, possibly the elusive offset chamber, identified through sonar imaging in borehole L15, revealing a massive, well-defined void 150 feet below ground. This structured cavity, too precise to be natural, hinted strongly at a man-made tunnel, perhaps the very one rumored to house the island's treasure. At the same time, another mysterious anomaly at the northern tip of the swamp raised speculation about the infamous Jack Adams box, a long-whispered container believed to hold priceless artifacts. Surveyor Jeremy's conductivity map lit up in deep red hues, indicating a high metallic presence, matching historical accounts and fueling theories that the team may have located the box itself. The excitement only grew as ground-penetrating radar scans on Lot 10 confirmed further anomalies under the northern face of the swamp. These findings aligned perfectly with the long-held belief by Fred Nolan that Oak Island was once two separate landmasses. The radar suggested a massive buried structure, potentially a centuries-old dam system, explaining how and why the swamp was artificially created, to conceal something valuable. Every clue seemed to converge: the mysterious box, the underground void, and now confirmation that the swamp may have been designed as a cover. The pieces were falling into place, suggesting the treasure was not just a myth, but something truly within reach. Back at the southern edge of the swamp, excavation revealed artifacts dating as far back as the 8th century, including ship-related items and even a piece of a curved wooden structure, possibly part of a ship's keel or runner. This suggested maritime activity in the area centuries before modern exploration. Deeper digging uncovered a wall made of wooden planks arranged in a pattern consistent with man-made construction, supporting the theory that the swamp was created to hide an important structure. A geoscientist's analysis revealed a red sediment layer, identical to that found under an ancient nearby stone road, suggesting a once-functional loading platform that may have led to a hidden vault. This theory was bolstered further by ancient maps brought in for analysis, some dating back to as early as 1179. One, a French map from 1347, depicted all of Nova Scotia and featured cryptic French words like anchor and valve, fueling speculation that the French, or perhaps even the Knights Templar, were involved long before known explorers arrived. Zena Halper, an expert on ancient maps, examined a mysterious label, Rodon, possibly linked to Prince Henry Sinclair's 1398 expedition. These Templar theories, tied to lost manuscripts, pirate treasure, and even Marie Antoinette's jewels, continue to gain traction. Despite the complex web of clues, theories, and history, the team remains undeterred. Standing by the old hatch, morale is high. It's no longer just about finding gold, it's about solving the enduring enigma of Oak Island. Could the Knights Templar have built a castle or fortress here long before Sinclair's arrival? If so, might it still lie buried beneath the layers of soil and time? While the treasure may have to wait, the mission to uncover Oak Island's true past is more compelling than ever. The deeper they dig, the clearer it becomes. Whatever secrets the island holds, they are underground, and the truth may finally be within reach. The team set out with a renewed sense of determination to locate the mysterious hatch, hoping that by comparing Zena's ancient maps with modern satellite imagery, they might finally pinpoint its location. If they could match even one landmark, it might lead them directly to the hatch. While Rick remained skeptical, concerned that Zena's fascinating findings might still be leading them on another wild goose chase, the team knew they couldn't afford to ignore the possibility. Oak Island's long history of misleading treasure hunters meant they had to be cautious, but they also had to keep moving forward. Their search brought them near Dave Blankenship's house, where they carefully laid Zena's map over current satellite views. Tension ran high as they searched for familiar shapes, borders, or features. Then, something clicked, a bright spot on both the old map and the satellite image. Could this be the hatch? For the Lagunas, it felt like a moment of destiny. After years of digging, theorizing, and hoping, they might have finally found something tangible. But the mystery of the hatch deepened. They had no idea what it looked like. Was it metal? Stone? They were about to face a new level of challenge and would need to think creatively. Jack Begley, ever the optimist, noticed that the bright spot on the maps marked a literal hole, possibly where the hatch had been hidden all along. Even the skeptics on the team couldn't help but feel a surge of excitement. Rick and Marty discussed the find intensely, each with different theories about its implications. The hatch could be connected to any number of Oak Island's legends, from pirates to the Knights Templar. Regardless of who buried the treasure, one thing was certain: the Lagunas were determined to uncover the truth. With renewed momentum, the hunt pressed on. They were no longer just treasure hunters, they were explorers on the brink of a historical breakthrough. The deeper they got, the more complex the mystery became, but that only pushed them harder. As the team prepared to investigate further, they knew that the hatch, if it existed, might not yield immediate answers. But hope, something the Lagina brothers never lacked, drove them forward. They thoroughly surveyed the area, knowing they couldn't afford to overlook a single clue. Using both old maps and modern technology, they began excavating. This was more than moving dirt, it was a painstaking effort to unearth history. Every artifact, every fragment, was a step closer to understanding Oak Island's secrets. The excavation was slow, grueling, and exhausting, but the dream of finally uncovering something, anything, kept the team going. Beneath the surface, a curved wooden structure appeared, then fragments of what looked like planks from a ship or a man-made structure. These finds were tantalizing, but they weren't the hatch. Frustrated but undeterred, the team decided to bring in ground-penetrating radar. It was a costly but necessary step. The radar detected a hollow area just beyond where they had been digging, another possible void. They shifted focus and began a new excavation at the site. This time, the ground felt different. Their tools met a resistance that wasn't soil or stone. As they scraped away the dirt with care, the shape of a flat, rectangular surface slowly emerged. They had found it, the hatch. Covered in rust and buried under years of sediment, the hatch looked ancient and untouched. The team stood around it in awe. Could this be the key to everything? Was this the entrance to the fabled treasure chamber? Or was it another trap, another false lead in Oak Island's long, twisting story? Marty urged caution, insisting on a thorough inspection before anyone attempted to open it. A metal detector scan offered inconclusive but promising results. There was definitely something beyond it. With great care, the team began the process of opening the hatch. It was heavy, resistant, and creaked ominously as it gave way under their combined strength. Then, with one final push, it opened. Beneath them lay a dark, yawning void, a tunnel or chamber that seemed to swallow the light. For a moment, no one spoke. The air was thick with anticipation and fear. Slowly, their eyes adjusted. What they saw below hinted at more than just treasure. It hinted at a lost world waiting to be uncovered. Stone steps led downward into the darkness, old and worn smooth by time, slick with moss and grime. Cool, damp air rose from the opening, heavy with the scent of earth and decay. The team stood at the edge, exchanging glances filled with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. They had definitely found something, but what exactly had they uncovered? Flashlights in hand, they began to descend, one by one, carefully placing each step. The beam of their lights pierced the shadows, revealing more of the stone stairway. It was slow going, the steps were slick, and none of them wanted to slip. As they moved deeper, the walls seemed to close in and the air grew colder. At the bottom, they stepped into a narrow corridor. The tunnel walls were rough-hewn stone, and the ceiling was so low they had to stoop slightly to move through it. The passage stretched ahead into darkness, its length unknown. But they had come too far to turn back now. The corridor twisted and turned beneath the island, the sound of dripping water echoing through the tunnel. The uneven floor made the journey more perilous. With every step, anticipation grew. They were heading into the unknown, away from the safety of the familiar. Eventually, the tunnel opened into a large chamber. The ceiling arched high above them, and the walls were etched with strange symbols and markings that none of them recognized. The air was thick with history. They were standing in a space that had been untouched for centuries. In the center of the room sat a massive stone table, covered in dust and cobwebs. Several objects rested upon it. As the team approached, their lights revealed old scrolls, yellowed, frayed, and delicate, as well as several small, intricately carved chests adorned with the same symbols found on the walls. Their hearts pounded. Could this be it? Had they finally found part of the treasure? Carefully, they opened one of the chests. Inside were gold coins, their surfaces gleaming even after all these years. It was a stunning moment, proof that something valuable had been hidden here. This might not have been the legendary hoard they dreamed of, but it was enough to validate their efforts and keep their hopes alive. But the chamber held more secrets. At the far end of the room, a heavy stone slab sealed another doorway. It was clear that someone had deliberately hidden whatever lay beyond. They couldn't leave without opening it. With great effort, the team managed to shift the slab just enough to slip through. Beyond was a smaller chamber, and its contents left them speechless. The walls were lined with shelves, and on them rested dozens of small, intricately carved boxes. Each was unique, each seemingly telling its own silent story. This wasn't a random collection. It was curated, purposeful. Someone had gone to great lengths to gather these relics and conceal them. But who? And why? The questions were endless, and the answers elusive. But one thing was clear: this was no ordinary treasure. It was a trove of historical artifacts, a window into a past long forgotten. The team spent hours documenting everything. They knew they had only scratched the surface of Oak Island's secrets. Still, this was tangible proof that their efforts had not been in vain. They had found not just treasure, but history. As they made their way back to the surface, a profound sense of accomplishment settled over them. They had faced setback after setback, but they had never given up, and now they had something to show for it. The hatch had led them to something incredible, something that could change everything they thought they knew about Oak Island. Yet the journey was far from over. There were still more clues to follow, more secrets to unearth. The island had given up one of its treasures, but the team knew there was more waiting to be discovered. The search would continue. The Lagaina brothers and their team were more determined than ever to see it through to the end. Could the hidden hatch on Oak Island finally prove that the treasure is real? Or was it just another elaborate hoax? Only time would tell.